The Full-Time Review is supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And I'm thrilled to announce that ABTV is now supported by Craig International, game-changing procurement efficiency trusted by the global energy industry. With offices worldwide, Craig International continues to be a market leader. In what was another hugely disappointing showing, Aberdeen went down 2-0 against a Hibs side who simply worked out how to beat us. That result means this: we are joint bottom of the table after 4 games. It is our worst start to a season in 12 years. We've only won 1 game in 7 in all competitions this season, 2 from 12 if you include the tail end of last season. We've only collected 2 points from a possible 12, and our next game is against Hearts at Tynecastle on the 16th of September. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff, and all tickets for that game sold out within 6 minutes of going on sale. Aberdeen fans continue to astound me because the support that you continually give to the team week in, week out is astonishing. And I tip my hat to every single one of you who are making the effort to go to Tynecastle in what is a slightly difficult and frustrating time for the football club. So, this is the review show after we got beaten yesterday. Tonight is all about you, the fans, so I'm just simply going to open it to you to have your say. Now, it's 24 hours on. It's the day after the afternoon before, and I hope that the time in between full time and now, some of us have been able to sort of collect our thoughts and just sort of reconsidered a few things. And what I'd like you to do is obviously leave me your comment. Try and obviously, I know it's difficult because I know there is still a lot of frustration. There does appear to be a lot of anger at the moment, which is totally understandable. I must admit, I watched the first half yesterday. I missed the second because I was away with the family, but I caught up with it this afternoon. And I am with you. I was also extremely angry yesterday for how we played and the outcome of the game. In fact, I was pissed off. So, with now the power of that time lapse between full time and now, without me teaching you to suck eggs, just try and keep your comments as versed as possible, because I do want to read out as many as I possibly can tonight. As always, just be respectful to other people's comments. There was a few arguments going on my Facebook page yesterday, which, again, I totally understand. I was slightly disappointed by some of the comments and some of the reactions. Look, at the end of the day, we're all Aberdeen fans. We all want the same thing, and that's to have success. So if we can, just all I'm asking is let's just keep it as respectful as we can this evening. So I'll have my say in a minute, because what I do want to do is just get through the usual bits and pieces that I like to start the show with. So obviously, Barry made 2 changes from the side that lost to Haken. Connor Barron came in, as did Angus MacDonald. Leighton Clarkson went to the bench because Barry said he was carrying this sort of calf knock, and Shaden Morris also dropped down. So those were the changes. Personally, ahead of the game, I wish he'd actually made 1 or 2 more, because he spoke about, the tiredness. And so let's get on to what Barry actually said after the game. So that's not how we want to play. That was the frustrating part. We are building a new team. We've got all these players that have just come in the door. They've hardly introduced themselves to each other. That's fine. I get that. He went on to say, we'll be fine. We've got real speed, we've got a good group, and we've got some really good players. And once we get going, we'll be fine. I'm really relaxed about that. The goals, he said, were avoidable. There are tired minds as well as tired bodies out there. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of the tiredness that he's talking about. So if there was a tiredness, which to be honest with you, and again, I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I'm not trying to speak out of turn. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into tiredness. Not in the modern day professional athlete. I just don't buy into it. I think it's an excuse, and I don't like excuses. I just want Barry to tell us how it is. Yeah, when he says that's not how we want to play, just tell us that. I'd much prefer to hear that from him instead of saying players are tired. I just don't buy into it. So let me go through some few bits and pieces, and I'd like to address the goals first of all. So the first goal. So Will Fish obviously played this long ball forward. Phase 1, unchallenged. They obviously win the ball in the air, and then there was no pressure whatsoever on Christian Doidge to pick up that ball when it ran into the box. None whatsoever. Phase 2, absolutely no challenge. He had all the time in the world to pick out Joe Newell. Phase 3, unchallenged. Joe Newell was 4 yards inside our 18-yard box. The closest player to him from Aberdeen was 6 to 7 yards away, inside our own 18-yard box. He then had all the time in the world to cushion it down for the boy, Adam Lafondra, who, to be fair, it was a decent strike and it was a good goal. 4 passages of play where there was not a single challenge put in. That got on my goat yesterday big time. The second goal was just, for me, a lack of basic defending. So by not picking up, I think it was Doidge who had the initial header, which hit the bar. And then obviously it ping-ponged about a bit before they scored again. So I don't know whether we're playing zonal marking or not. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not privy to that sort of information. I personally cannot abide zonal marking. Defending a corner kick or a set piece should be very simple. It should be you pick up him. He's your responsibility. You pick up him. He's your responsibility. I want you on that post. I want you on that post. You pick up all the bits and pieces if it falls to the 18-yard box and look out for late runners. Me, I'm watching him. That, for me, is basic football coaching. And I cannot understand for the life of me why the boy Doidge was given that much space to get a free header in almost on our 6-yard line. It just goes beyond the realms of my thinking when it comes to football. It's basic football knowledge. And if we're going to start getting back to where we want to be, basic football defending has got to improve hugely by our back 3, back 4, back 5, however we decide to play. Many of you have come in and said, get rid of this back 3. I agree. It's doing us no favours. I get why we play it. I understand why we play it. But it's not working, I don't think. And I'm sure many of you fully agree. The stats are damning when it comes to shots on target per league game and significant chances created. We do, require significant improvement. And here's why. Because I want to show you the match stats from the game. Just bear with me while I get it up for you. There we are. So let me drag it in. Okay, so these are the match stats. Okay. 10 shots, throughout the game to their 15. 3 on target to their 7. Now, for me, that tells a significant story because they are the away team, yet pressed us more than we pressed them. To only have 3 shots on target throughout is not good enough. It's not acceptable. The first half stats, so I looked at the first half stats yesterday. They had more attempts at goal than we had, and they actually had more shots on target than we had also in the first half. This is against a side who are managerless, winless, and very low on confidence, but yet we allowed them to build their confidence as the game went on. There was a spell for about 15 minutes where I thought, do you know what, we're actually doing okay here. We're coming back into this. We're starting to take control of the game. But again, we continued to leave wide open spaces at the back. I do think there are too many players off the boil. Now, you know me, I do not like to pinpoint players or point fingers, but I will tonight. I think Bojan needs to do more. I'll come on to Bojan in a moment. I'm not just, I'm looking at the positives as well as the negatives. Duke, at times yesterday, looked like the old Duke, but again, he needs to do more. There is a pattern to Duke. Last season, it took him anything between half a dozen to 8 games to really get up to speed. We're seeing exactly the same pattern this season. So I keep saying it and I'll repeat it. I think he'll come good. Angus MacDonald is not the player that he was last season. I don't know what's going on with Angus, but he needs to up his game. Rubicic continues to be an issue for me. The booking on Juan, or Johan, however you pronounce it, for me, he's a lucky boy not to get a red for that. And I'm not surprised he got hooked. So there are players that are just not, for me, quite up to speed. Now, let me get back to Bojan. So, I saw something this morning. Now, I don't know whether it's true or whether it's not, but I read it. But what I read was that we are playing the long ball more than any other team in the Scottish Premiership at the moment, just humping the ball forward. Now, for me, this is doing us absolutely no favours whatsoever. We said, on this show, we've said it time and time again, stop humping the ball forward. Bojan is not a target man. He's not. Bojan needs the ball played into his feet, where he can either turn his defender, run into spaces, or finish. That's the type of player that Bojan is, or bring supporting players into play. He's not a target man. When we're lumping this ball forward, and this was the case yesterday, it was coming back just as fast because it wasn't sticking up front. So when it comes to sort of tired minds and all that sort of stuff, you could argue, even though I said I don't buy into it, there is an argument to suggest that you're not surprised that they're absolutely shattered when the ball is constantly coming back when we're just lumping it forward. Graham Shinney was playing too far forward for me, I think, yesterday. I think he should have been playing further back and letting Connor do all that sort of graft in and around that part of the pitch. And I'm not surprised that Graham got hooked because he looked dead on his feet. So there's a lot of things that are concerning. But again, I'll go back to it. There needs to be a realistic time frame for when we click into gear. I think there'll be no rabbits pulled out of hats in the coming weeks. I just can't see it. So I guess all we can do as fans is just trust in the process. And I do. And I do think we'll come good. I do think we'll get it right. But I'm a touch worried that the Hilbert Ramadani-esque player that we desperately needed to replace him is not there. And it's becoming quite evident that we now have issues in that area. Look, there's nothing we can do now. It's gone. The transfer window is shut. There's nothing we can do. So all we can do now is just Barry. That's all he can do now is just work with what he's got. So 6 players are away on international duty. I'm kind of, usually I hate the international break because I always feel we get ahead of steam and then we get lumped with this sort of break. But I think it's come at a good time because now, the players that will be at Cormack Park who have not gone away on international duty, hopefully will now have the time to introduce themselves to each other and work with each other on the training ground. And hopefully when the other lads come back, I really hope they have a really good and positive international break. There will be a bit of freshness about us and we go again because we do have some very, very difficult fixtures coming up. And that noise that we continue to talk about in the background got so significantly louder yesterday, and it will continue to do so until it becomes deafening. And that's what I'm worried about, that it will become deafening. And I don't want it to get to that stage. Okay. I hope I've made some sort of sense. I do my very best not to speak a load of shite on here. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from. It's all about opinions. And if you completely disagree, then, look, I have no issues with you disagreeing whatsoever. I'm just trying to make some sort of sense of it all. But trust me, I'm just as annoyed and wound up as you are. I really am. Okay, let's get you on. Okay, so let's bring you all in. So Tavis Thompson has said that he thought Connor Barron did well. Look, I thought Connor did okay. He put a shift in. There's absolutely no danger about that. Right, hang on. Just let me sort this all out. Right, let me get that all the way to the top. Sorry, guys. So I just have to bring all this up just so that you can see what we're doing. Okay. So Kaiser has said, hi, Kaiser. I hope you're okay, fella. So Ruby needs massive coaching on defending. He's all over the place. He really needs to hold his ground and settle down. I agree. Craig Peters has said, I'm very worried. To be honest, I can only see this going one way. Paul Herd has said, just saw a rerun of Rama's yellow card. Could have been red. Bob Duffer has said, 2 wins in 12 since Barry took over. Says a lot. He just doesn't have the necessary experience. Simon Roy is here. Hi, Simon. We keep leaving 2 at the back and are exposed. I also think Barry needs to drop Duke, give someone else a chance. Do you know, I must admit, I was half expecting Duke to be benched because, as we keep saying, he's not quite there yet. Erica Mitchell has wished everyone a good evening. Not a great watch at Pittodrie yesterday. We were woeful. Couldn't defend. Gave Hibs too much space, I felt. Positives, I was still in Europe and was still in the League Cup. Phil McLean has said, I get people are frustrated, but people calling for Barry to get sacked is a bit much. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm with you with that. I've also very much understand and respect and appreciate people's frustrations, but I keep saying it. I just don't think people calling for Barry to get sacked this early is healthy. It's just not healthy. Mr. Harmon. Hi, Mr. Harmon. How are you? He's wished everyone a good evening. We are a hard watch just now. Big punts is the tactics time after time after time. Midfield anonymous most of the league games so far, and the strikers not putting chances away. Tavis Thompson has said, most of the players just seem like they're playing for the sake of it, no fight. So this is what I was worried about yesterday. For me, there was no cohesion. There was no spark. There didn't appear to be there appeared to be a disconnect. And again, when you're watching from afar, it's, when you're watching at Pittodrie, I think if you were at Pittodrie, you'll get a better sense of that than what we were watching, from afar on television, like I was yesterday on Red TV. But from where I was sitting, there's just a disconnect sense about the team at the moment. Bob Duffer has agreed with me about Angus MacDonald, miles off it this season. Could there be the issue that he's not 100% fit? Because a lot of people are talking about his fitness. Okay, so Can't Be Bothered is asked, why was contact with St Mirren about Bacchus last minute? If he was the Rama replacement, then the day he leaves, surely the call is made to St Mirren. Look, again, if you allow me to play devil's advocate, I was disappointed that we did not get a player like him in. I think it should have been absolutely our priority. I understand why we've brought the players in that we have, but I just felt that we were bringing in players for cover when all of our energy should have been put into replacing Hilber. Now, I'm sure that every effort was made. I have no doubts about that, and that they targeted players, that the work was done, the due diligence was done, but we just don't know because we're not privy to that information. So all we're doing is we're second guessing. But I don't doubt that they did try and get a player like him. It's just hugely disappointing that we weren't able to get a player like him. Erica Mitchell said, hopefully after international break things improve. Erica, things will have to improve. Vicky is on talking about excuses. Yeah, mate, it's like what I said. I don't want excuses. I want the manager to be completely transparent and honest. That's all I'm looking for. And I want him to stop talking about these 26 shots that we had against Haken. Doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant, with the greatest respect. Gray Pilgrim has said, we have a big squad. If the Haken game took a lot out of the players, then there should have been more changes to the starting 11 against Hibs. Keep the guys fresh and ready to go when needed. I agree. Jason Campbell has said, there is still a Jim Goodwin stink at the club, and I think it's coming. Okay, so, Jason, you mentioned this the other day, and I did ask you to sort of digress slightly on your point. I'm just not sure what you're trying to get at here. Graham Klein has said, another defeat, opened up far too easily at the back. Celtic, Haken and Hibs. You do have to accept that Robson needs to get a hold of the transition from attack to defence, or we get pumped. Yeah, again, I'm looking at it yesterday, and too many times we missed out the midfield. And, we've been saying it here. You guys have been saying it. You guys have been commenting about it for a while now, that we have continually missed out the midfield and not allow our players, our creative players, to be creative. We saw it in flashes against Haken away. We saw it in flashes against Celtic. We saw it in flashes against Haken at home, particularly after they scored. But over the piece, over the 90 minutes, we're not seeing it. We're only seeing it in flashes, and we need to see more of it. Mr. Harmony said, I don't get the Ruby hate though. Solid in a 4, but being ruthlessly exposed by a lack of midfield or any defensive cover in the 3. Yep. Dandy Don has reminded us that we struggled to beat Stirling Albion. Suze is on wishing everyone a good evening. Duke looked done in. He did. Okay. John, I think it's Kilo. Hi, John. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Barry's problem is he spends the week working on a game plan, then struggles to adapt to that in a game. His faith in some players is certainly misplaced. Duke needs to be taken out of the firing line. So I think, Duke's now got a couple of... I'm sure he's away international, isn't he? So he'll get that couple of weeks to go away and hopefully use the international break with Cape Verde, isn't it? I'm sorry. My fucking head's all over the shop at the moment. Just to sort of get fresh. Just get fresh. That's all we're looking for. But I keep saying it, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but I think he'll come good. Okay, interesting. So again, I hope I pronounced this correctly. Io Fan. Welcome to the show. I've not seen you on before, or if I haven't, forgive me if I haven't. But make a very good point. So far in the league, we're averaging 1.8 shots on target per game, and we only accurately manage 2.5 crosses per game. Shocking. Our passes are only finding their man 62% of the time. Thank you for posting. VK has said, Rubicic is far too slow for this level. Kaiser has said, tired, question mark. Really poor excuse from Barry. We're only a few games into the season. Iofan has said, midfield is too narrow and Shinnie is a headless chicken. Okay, I'll take umbrage with that. I don't think he's a headless chicken, not by a long stretch. I just think he's trying to do everybody's job. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I think he was far too far forward yesterday when I felt Connor should be more forward. I just think he's running about. I get your point when you see players just running about all over the shop, but I just think he's trying to do everybody's job. Which, to me, he's trying to take control of the game and take responsibility for the game as the captain. Scott W. has said, too many fans were on the team's back and Barry's back from the 0-0 draw at Livy. When that happened on day one, I knew exactly what was coming. Graham Klein has said, also tiredness. He hardly rotates the squad or uses subs for players walking around, Morris and Duke to name but a few. Again, Phil McLean is on saying, can't use tired as an excuse. Hibs also played on Thursday. Scott W said, our fans will get Barry sacked. Then that's us then back to square one. We'll never have a successful team thanks to this kind of attitude from some fans. And this is what I was talking about in an indirect sort of way when I say the noise will become deafening. And once that happens, we all know what will happen. John Kylo has said, fans won't get Barry sacked, not winning matches will. Scott Robertson has said, I don't think he knows what he's doing. He's certainly watching a different game from the rest of us when you hear him. We were mints, and I'd like to hear him fess up and say he's going to boot some arse. I agree. Yeah. Kaiser said, second goal was pathetic. Hibs won 3 headers in a row in our box. Again, it's what we're talking about at the beginning of the show. Basic football, coaching and defending. Sousa said, fans were backing the team for a good part of the game. Frustration set in when the team looked to be putting their heads down. Dandy Donna said, this direct ball nonsense isn't working. We surrender possession constantly all the way through a match. A lot of you are talking about Barry's post-match interviews. Gordon Keith Ritchie said, don't know what happened. We all are probably expecting too much too soon. Too many new players. Barry had to pick the best 11 and go from there. See, Iofan has said, you know, we've gone to zonal marking. That's why the players aren't being picked up. It's just a personal opinion. I cannot abide this zonal marking. It's a load of nonsense. Just get back to how the game should be played, which is you pick up your man. Yeah, that's how I was coached, and I'm sure it's how the majority of you watch this show were coached whenever you played the game. You pick up your man. You are responsible for your man, not this square meter in front of you. To me, that's an absolute load of nonsense. Sousa said, no confidence up front to shoot. Graham Clark has said, I hope you are well after that abysmal performance. I was there yesterday for the first time in a long time. Took my 2-year-old son to his first game. Guess his disappointment has started. Scott W has said, forget about teams being managerless, etc. Hibs are not a bad side. Michael Findlay is wishing everybody a good evening. Okay, so I've had a couple of discussions about this today. With sort of close friends. And VK makes, bloody hell, where's it gone? Yes. So VK says, why don't the management knock out of Duke his embarrassing propensity to cheat in the box? Okay, so, again, feel free to have your say, agree or disagree. For me, that was never a penalty yesterday. Duke was trying to buy it. And it left me just, again, with that sense of frustration. Because if he'd stayed on his feet, there was a square ball on. I get what he's doing. It's the modern day football player trying to buy a penalty. I get it. But it was never a penalty, in my opinion. He's gone down. He's looking for the penalty. And it frustrates the hell out of me because he's in complete control of the ball with the perfect opportunity to play a square, dangerous ball into what is a prominent part of their penalty box. You know, I get it. I get it. I just don't like it. Kaiser said it was a stonewall penalty. I don't think it was. I really don't. Mark Cowison has said, evening all. I thought Barry said that part of his recruitment was to bring players in who knew what it meant to play for the Dons. Didn't look like that on the pitch on Sunday. Again, that's what we sort of talk about, this disconnect. Michael Scott has said, it's a repeat of last season. We can't score or create a clear-cut chance, but let the opposition in so easily. I think it's a fitness thing. Fitness makes you sharp. Gosh, there's so many comments coming in tonight, and we've already done half an hour. Kaiser has said, we're looking at the fixtures. He's looking ahead, struggling to see where we're getting a win over September. Look, Hearts are not in great shakes. They are there for the taking. I know Ross County are doing okay. Be a difficult game in the Cup. Frankfurt, listen, we know what's going to happen in Frankfurt. It's going to be tough. And then we've got them lot right at the end of the season who, God. Yep. Graham Clark has said, I also hate the whole players are tired excuse. Give me a break. These are professional athletes getting paid thousands a week. I'm just not having that at all. That really ticked me off. Did Willie Miller not say that they used to play Wednesday, Saturday, and it never, ever affected them at all? I'm sure he said that. And again, without sounding like a broken record, I don't buy into it. Okay, let me keep coming down. Listen, thank you so much for watching tonight. I know there's over 140 of you on tonight, which is fantastic. Press that old like button. That would be great. If you're enjoying the show, of course. Malcolm Youngson has said that we're missing Matty Pollock. I agree. I think we are. But again, we can't look back. We can only look forward. Kaiser 19. So Kaiser and I having a bit of a to-do here. So he said it was a penalty. Go and look again. You'll see he was clipped. Yes, he made the most of it. See, again, I don't think he was. I don't think he was clipped. I really don't. I know what you're coming at because I've watched it back and forward at least half a dozen times, and I'm looking for that sort of contact. And I know there's a couple of angles which suggest that there was contact, but the one which is right close in, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But hey, listen, that's the beauty of football. We all have our opinions, don't we? George Finlay's asked, what's the story with Vinny? He should be getting his chance. Seems a waste. Who knows, mate? Who knows? Elfie Dello said, totally agree about zonal marking. At least someone's agreeing with me tonight. Baz Strachan makes a great point. Taxi to Balmedi Beach for the players, I think. Get running, boys. Oh, wait, that would make them tired. 4 of next 6 are away games coming up, so will be a tough next couple of months ahead. Doesn't get any easier, mate. Alan Suter said, the 2 Ross County games at the end of the month are huge. Need to win both for points in the league at home and then into the next round of the Cup. Otherwise, the noise will be deafening. I agree, because, up to those games, it's difficult. Okay, Jason Campbell. So listen, thank you for your points. Let's you and I have a private conversation about all that, mate. But thank you for clearing it all up for me. Jason makes an interesting point here. He says, can't be a great atmosphere at work knowing half your colleagues can't be bothered. Paul Herd has said, small gripe from Sunday, defending corners. Why on earth are we not keeping one player up the park as an outlet against Hibs? FFS. Yep. Dandy Donna said, we're not good enough for zonal marking. Mark your man, keep it simple. There's a lot of talk about Reece Williams, why he's not getting a start. There's a lot, I heard a few whispers that he was already sort of getting called back to Liverpool. In fact, I know a mate that works for a big Liverpool TV site, so very much like what we do here. I'll give Steve a call and see if he knows anything. Again, whether he's not up to speed, whether he's not 100% fit, whether he's coming back from injury, I don't know. I also don't know why sometimes players don't play. Jeff Doig makes an interesting point. Zonal marking just lets the players blame each other for their mistakes. That's a very good point. John Moore says, Duke's theatrics when he gets touched in the box is making it worse. If he just went down without it, he would probably get more. Michael Finlay makes a great point. Watch the Arsenal v Man United game, and if Man United can't make zonal marking work, then how are we supposed to? Again, a lot of people asking about, a lot of the players, Dadia, for example, what's going on with him. Paul Herder said, when I think of our strongest starting 11, there are others ahead of Mackenzie, but not a bad start to the season for him. Is there something in it that he's been missing for these toothless displays? Gordon Ronnie has said, hi guys, I just think we definitely need time to gel and get it sorted at training. It's a lot of players to come straight in. I agree. Right, mate. So, guys, we are done because we've now done, that's 37 minutes we've done tonight. So, thank you so much for watching. I know, obviously, it's hugely disappointing after we lose any game, but particularly after we lose in that sort of that sort of manner. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you all being very respectful tonight. Thank you so much, and thank you for making it a really enjoyable show tonight. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So we got a bit of a break in terms of league games and all that sort of stuff. So the aim for the next couple of weeks is I still want to bring you content. I'm going to be speaking to Niall McGinn in the next few days. So we're going to be doing a one-on-one with him. I've got another ex-player, a recent former ex-player lined up to do that as well. And I'm also looking to do a host of the quickfire questions with, a host of guests that I'd like to get on. One of the things that I would like to do going forward is obviously continue to get you guys involved in this, because as I keep saying to you, this is your platform and your show just as much as it is my platform as well, to bring it to you. And I would like to start getting your best 11s. And what I want to do is I actually want to interview you about your best 11s and get you on the show and make a series of fans' best Aberdeen 11s. So that's just a wee idea that I'd like to do. So again, thank you for your continued support. The subscriptions are building. If you haven't subscribed yet, it doesn't cost you anything. Just if you would consider it, following the channel, I'd be very, very grateful. We are motoring towards 2,900, and then we kick on again to try and get to 3,000, and then we really are on our way. So again, thank you, and I will keep you updated on socials. Keep an eye on it to what's coming up in the next few weeks or the next few days, and then I'll see you live. Will I see you live? No, I won't see you live for the Hearts game. I've got to do a pre-recorded show that day because I'll be on the big Saturday football show on North Sound. So I won't be able to bring it to you live, but I will do a pre-recorded show. Right, guys, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you all again very soon. Stand free.